the first time I ever did this, I mean, and actually, if you step out and do this, this is pretty scary stuff. Has anybody ever taught with fresh bread? You ever heard that expression, fresh bread? Man, I tell you what, there's nothing worse than going in the kitchen and getting a loaf of bread, have there be mold on it or stale or hard. Man, when you get that fresh bread, oh, it's so delicious. And in my Christian walk, I discovered that, you know, God gives us enough faith, doesn't He, so that we can walk out whatever He has for us to do in that one day. He gives us enough for one day. He doesn't want us to know what our future is. He wants us to walk in faith and trust Him. And so what He does is He gives us a daily rhema. Jesus personally said, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that comes out of God's mouth. And that word is that He used there is, and we're not talking about the logos where you open up and read the book of Matthew, Luke, Mark, John, letters, epistles, Revelation. That's all logos, okay? You know, and of course, you know, that's the truth. And of course, in John 1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So I got you all mindset on that. I see a little puzzle faces. I'm looking out there. I want to make sure we got a handle on that. Because something unique is going to happen. I need somebody. I don't have an audiovisual guy here today. Would somebody like to read for me? If not, I need somebody to turn to Matthew chapter 16 and read verse 13. Who's got it? Oliver. Okay, all right. And while he's turning there, what I want to do is I want to be fresh in your mind that as I'm speaking today, I'm relying on God to give me fresh bread. So what it is that you're hearing is going to be something fresh, nothing stale. It's not going to be something that I sit down and try to contrive. I don't want to be witty in my speech. You know, I don't want to present something that's just my opinion. We've got a concept, and we're going to let God move to that by He's downloading as I'm talking to you right now, and you're getting fresh bread. That make sense? All right. Okay. You have that, Brother Oliver?
Matthew chapter 16.
13. And before he reads it, what we got going on here, Jesus has a way of putting His disciples, putting their heart in the right spot at the right time to teach them a lesson. And he's at Caesarea Philippi, and he's sitting down with His 12 disciples. You know, everybody ought to have somebody you're putting into. Well, Jesus had 12. And of course, He's going to ask them a question. Go ahead and read verse 13. Give us some Bible.
When Jesus came into the region of Caesarea Philippi, He asked His disciples, saying, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?"
Okay, and hang on, because we're going to read 3 or 4 there. We're just going to take them one piece at a time, okay? All right. So Jesus, He's in front of His disciples, and He says, "Who do people say that I am?" You know, this is the Son of God. I think He knows. He's asking. He's about to teach the disciples a very specific lesson here. And as a matter of fact, it's the basis for our whole lesson today, which is found in chapter 7 in our book. Okay. Who anybody want to take a shot at what you think that Jesus is going to try to teach them? Okay. That's okay. Go ahead back there.
To go by their heart and the spirit.
Go by their heart and spirit? Boy, you're a lot closer than you know. That was a pretty good shot. I give that brother an amen back there.
Amen.
What Jesus is looking for, and go ahead and read the next verse. This is what the disciples answered. And notice that they volley an answer out really quick. Okay? And what do they say? Real slow.
So they said, "Some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets."
Thank you. All right. So here you got 11 disciples. Peter didn't answer because Peter, he's thinking this thing over. Peter has received some rhema from God. The other disciples didn't. They were really kind of concerned about what they've been. Jesus asked them, "What do people say?" And they start telling what people said. They're not giving their personal revelation of what they think. Matter of fact, I don't believe that they had one. They were just like a lot of Christians are today. When they're sitting in church, it's whatever the preacher says is okay with them, you know, and they kind of just go with that. They really don't have their own opinion, and God hasn't downloaded some fresh bread to them. And when He does, it's something that will lock it into you, and it becomes unshakable. Nobody can steal whatever that word God gives you out of your heart. Okay? So, read again what they said. Some say
that John the Baptist,
okay.
some Elijah,
then others,
Jeremiah the prophet.
Jeremiah the prophet. And others, there's one more.
Okay. No, I didn't know more.
Okay,
They
there's
said
four.
to them, but who do you say that I am?
All right. And guess what? When Jesus said, "Who do you say that I am?" You know what happened? He got pretty darn quiet in the group. There was 11 men there. Jesus has been putting in them. They're watching miracles. They're seeing the blind see, the lame walk, all kinds of miracles around them, you know. And yet, Jesus, first of all, he wants to know what others are saying about him, because he wants to get their mind thinking. He's bringing them in. He's bringing their mindset. He's getting ready to teach them. And he asked them, and they tell him what, really, just right off the top of their head. For example, people were saying that Jesus was. Some Elijah, some a prophet, and the things that he read there. Well, when Jesus turned the table, you know, and looked them square in the eye, his 12 disciples, he asked them, "Who do you say that I am?" And I want you to know, in the council there, it got pretty darn quiet. They didn't have an opinion. Their opinion was what others were saying. Now, there was one that did have an opinion. Matter of fact, he blurts it out, and it's pretty special. You want to pick that up next verse?
Simon Peter answered and said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God."
Okay, keep going. All right, so Peter, before you read it, Peter blurts out, "You're the Christ." The word Christ means the anointed. He was saying, "You're the anointed." The Mashiach Nagid is what they call it. That's who the Messiah is going to be. He knew that. He says, "You're the Christ." And then he says, even more than that, he says,
and said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but the Father who is in heaven."
All right, did you get that? He blurts it out. He says, you're the Christ. And he says, "You're the Son of God." Now, Jesus blessed him, because he didn't get that from his companions, from his friends, from the pastors out there. He didn't get it from the priests. You know, God downloaded that to him directly. That was fresh bread. And when he got it, boom, it was there. I mean, that's what he said. He blurts it out. Read it again, what Peter says. I get kind of excited on this, so I like a little repeat here.
So Simon Peter answered and said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered and said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven."
He got some fresh bread, didn't he? It was revealed to him. What has God been revealing to you? I mean, every morning, hopefully, when you get up first thing in the morning, you'll set aside some quiet time. Maybe you'll go into your word, or maybe you sit down there and do like Chris. Maybe he's probably practicing that song this morning because he wanted to share that with you. You know, he worked on that. There's a time where you're doing that, when you're actually beginning your day and you're saying, "Lord, today I just want you to know, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, but today I'm going to walk it out for you. I'm going to be obedient. Whatever you have for me today, Father, I want you to lead me in that." And Father, ask him. Say, "Father, would you give me some fresh bread?" Whatever it is that you need, if you'll be still and be quiet, that small, still voice, it'll actually sound like your voice. It'll be that in the back. You'll hear it. It's a small, still voice. It'll begin to speak to you, and he'll download that little chunk of rhema that you need so that you can walk out that one day worth of faith.
Amen.
That's exciting. I mean, we have a relationship here. Remember we were talking a minute ago about sometimes we're in marriages where our wives don't talk to us. We really don't have a relationship, you know. We have the Word, and then God has something special for you every day. There's not going to be any more. The Word is complete, you know. And it's good for training and teaching all the principles that are in there, according to 1 Timothy 3:16. Okay? So, what we do get, personal, in a relationship with Jesus Christ, God will download to you whatever it is that little chunk of rema, that fresh bread that you need for your daily walk. That's a relationship. I'm going to give you an example. This is a true story. I'm not much on preaching. I just like to tell things that's happened in my life. I mean, I couldn't give Brother Oliver's testimony. That's Brother Oliver's testimony, but I can give you mine. And I'm going to give you some testimony here. This is a true story. This happened about, I think this happened the first week I came down here. I came down on Friday with Bill about a month and a half ago. Maybe it's been 2 months now. I think it's been about a month and a half. Sunday I went to church. I had my wife and my children. Actually, with my son, all my children are grown. I've got a late life son, Seth. I told you about him a minute ago. That little spitting image of mine that is maturing, and he's becoming like his father. They went off to children's church, and it was just me and my wife. We're sitting there, and we have this lady in our church that she is, when I first met her, she was always on a walker. She doesn't have her own car. One of the elders bought 6 seats for me and my wife and my family. Every time, I don't have to worry about when I get to church where I'm going to sit, because, I mean, she's got Bibles and books and everything, so that I've got my seats. And so, her name's Reba, by the way. And what Reba did, she was sitting there, and we were, I know on Sunday morning they've been using some of our praise songs that Larry was been telling me for the Sunday morning service. Well, that group was up there leading us in some praise songs. And just as we got done singing, that's a true story now. We sit down, and my wife is sitting next to Reba, and I'm on the other side of her. So she's kind of wedged in the middle. And I see her reach in her purse, and she pulled out a $100 bill and just gave it to Reba. Well, you know, anything my wife does is okay with me, you know, because she's usually got a pretty darn good reason for it, you know, and I trust her. You know, we talk, we communicate, we got a good relationship, you know. And so, anyways, I was sitting there, elbow, and she said, "Don, you know, I'm all, you know, normally she doesn't, she's not a really outgoing person in church. I mean, she doesn't get out there and get on her hands and knees and pray for people, and, you know, like some people do. She's kind of quiet, she likes to sing her songs, and she's a little on the shy side, actually. And she elbows me, and she says, "Don." She got my full attention. I said, "Don." She says, "You're not going to believe this.